This is the video for the Try It section of Lesson 10, Working with Arrays. For this lesson, you test if a certain string element is in an array, and at the end of the macro you'll show a message box to confirm that the string element either was or was not found to exist in the array. You'll be building the array yourself, and to add a little dynamic flair to the example, we're going to use sheet 2 as a guinea pig that'll be hidden if the array element you're interested in finding is not existing in the array that you're evaluating. And if the element that you're looking for does exist in the array, then we will unhide sheet 2. So the first step is to enter a name into cell A1 for purposes of this example. Tom is actually a pretty cool name, so I'm going to enter that in cell A1, and that is what the code will be using to search for in the array that we will be building here in this macro. Now, to go to the Visual Basic editor and write your macro, click on the Developer tab on the ribbon and the Visual Basic icon, or in any version of Excel you can press the Alt F11 keys. From the Visual Basic editor menu bar, click Insert Module and insert your module there. And to name the macro, keeping it simple, we will call this one Test Array. Now, when you are using arrays and building them and working with them, it will very often be the case that the variable type that you declare for them will be variant. And so for this array, I'm going to name it my array and give it the variant type. Now, there are different ways to populate arrays. Sometimes you'll have absolutely no idea what elements will be in the array, such as maybe in a list on a worksheet that's hidden. In this case, for this example, we'll say that you do know what the array elements are, and they are going to be names that you will come up with on your own as we're going to test this. And each element in the array will be enclosed in double quotes and then separated by a comma. So coming up with a few names here, you are populating the array here with about, we'll say 5 names. And there you have just created your own array. Now you want to declare another variable that'll be a string type to refer to whatever it was you entered in cell A1 of sheet 1 that is what you will be looking for, comparing it to each of these variable elements here. So we will call the string variable that got placed into cell A1 string verify, and have it be a string type variable, and then have this string type variable called string verify be equal to what is in sheet 1 range A1. And that was where we entered the name Tom a few minutes ago. Okay, you're going to need to declare 2 more variables here. One of them will be an integer type variable that's going to help you loop through each of the 5 elements in the array. And the other variable will be a Boolean data type variable, which will help to characterize as either true or false that the string in cell A1 of sheet 1 that you have assigned the variable of string verify to is among the elements in the array. So this is a very simple set of declaration statements. We'll say dim I as integer. It's a very common way to declare a very simple integer type variable. And we'll call the Boolean variable bln verify. Now, to be on the safe side, I always start off by setting the Boolean variable to false. Let's see. And you'll see why I do that in a couple of lines of code down the road. So you are now ready to see if the name Tom exists in the array, and you'll need to loop through each element in the array and compare it to the string variable, string verify, which equals what's in cell A1 of sheet 1. If there's a match, you'll want to exit the loop and alert the user by unhiding sheet 2. If the string variable is not found and there is not a match, then you will keep sheet 2 hidden. So one of the other things you'll want to do to get started with things before you actually run the loop is to hide sheet 2, so that if on our first cycle through this loop the variable is not found here, you'll want to still maintain sheet 2 as being hidden. So to do that, we will say worksheets sheet 2 dot visible equals Excel sheet, we'll say very hidden. There. Now you're all set up to have the code evaluate that you will loop through for each element. And because you're using an integer variable that you said is the letter I, you will say for I equals, and you're going to use the lower bound here that VBA expresses as L bound, and the name of your array, and you're going to type in the word 2 and then up to the U bound. That's the upper bound portion of the array. Now what you just told VBA to do is to go from here, Bill, to here, Jim. You're going to say if the string verify variable equals the element of my array that you are examining here, then BLN verify equals true. And you will want to include a message box that tells the user that, hey, success, we have found out that a match has been made and all is good in the world. And so for that, you will not only tell the user that, but again, with some of the dynamic nature of this example, you're going to say that now sheet 2 is visible. If by chance, and it'll often be the case, that a match is found in some kind of loop you're running, not necessarily this one, but almost any one you'll be running in a for next kind of fashion, if a condition is met, there's no reason to continue on with the rest of the elements here if you know programmatically that one of the conditions has been met. So go ahead and exit the loop with the exit for statement. In this case, it's a for next loop, so it's exit for. And then enter the end if statement to close off the if structure that you started to build here. And then terminate the loop with the next I. That is the integer type variable as you're looping through each element in the array. Notice you're not looping through names per se, you're looping through the number of elements. So I is 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, and 5 here. Now you recall that we set BLN variable, the BLN verify variable is false up here. And down here in the code we've set it to true if a match was made. Now if a match was not made, the BLN verify variable is still false. So you now get to say if BLN verify equals false, then I'm just going to put an underscore character here to save a little bit of space and go to the next line. You'll tell the user that the entry that they put into cell A1 of sheet 1 is not in the array, and I have this no such animal kind of notation in the title bar, and that will be that. That is your array macro that now you can go to your worksheet. I'm going to press Alt-Q to come over here and test the macro. I'm going to press the Alt F8 keys, and there is your macro called test array. Now if I run the run button, if I click the run button rather, there's a compile error because I spelled my array wrong. I didn't plan on doing this, but as long as we're having it be this way, you'll see how to debug your code in lesson 17. But sometimes you'll type something wrong into your code, and that is how you fix it. You'll click the debug button on the message box and go to your code and find out where the problem is. It'll be highlighted just as it was. And now that that's out of the way, you can try to close this window, and you'll see this message box here, and go ahead and click OK to stop the debugger. That's all good. Now we're going to press the Alt F8 keys again and run the test array macro again. And now VBA has looked at cell A1 and sees that Tom is in the array that you had set up with those other names. And when you click the OK button, sheet 2 will be unhidden. There it is. Now let's say that we enter in some other name. I'll enter in the name Jack that I know for a fact is not in the array because we built it ourselves a moment ago. If I try again to run the macro, what will happen is I'll be told that Jack is not in the array, and you'll notice down here that the code has hidden sheet 2 as just another part to demonstrate that the macro is doing its job by hiding sheet 2 if the element in cell A1 being searched for is not in the array. So that is how to build an array and how to test it, and how to let the user know whether or not the element that they're looking for in the array is found or not found.